Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers, sisters, friends and foes, and welcome to another episode of the Blood Brothers podcast with your host, Dilly Hussain, and my co-host and my blood brother,
Aki Hussain. Assalamu alaikum everyone.
Eid Mubarak, taqabballahu minna wa minkum. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He accepts our fast, our good deeds, forgives our sins, and gives us the tawfiq and the honor to see another Ramadan. Ameen. Now, the reason why today's podcast is very special, of course, it's because it's ul-Fitr, number one, main reason. But it's also because on this day, exactly 1 year ago, we released the first episode of the Blood Brothers podcast.
Mad.
It's a mad one, isn't it?
It's mad.
We had Sim from the Mad Mamluks who flew out from Chicago.
Which is even more mad.
Which is even more mad. With that thing there, which the camera can't see, but it's the maddest looking audio pickup thing that I don't even know what the word is for it.
Looks like we're going to rave or something.
But he actually came with it, and we shot the first podcast on a single camera on that Lumix GH4R. And it's been
I rate that he made that journey and we followed through. A year on, we're here.
Alhamdulillah.
It could have gone very badly.
And I think there's a huge part to give credit to Sim for that. But we'll get to that later, yeah?
Yes, why not?
The last 6 episodes we've had, it's all been COVID-19.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had doctors, virologists. We even had someone who looked at the perspective of Islamophobia in light of COVID-19. But we gave it a rest. And I think that was fair, bro. What do you think?
Yeah, it was fair and it was timely. It needed to happen anyway because people are going to get the information about COVID-19 from somewhere anyway. And we had the opportunity to bring guests on to the podcast that could give really important and really, really valuable information to people. So why not? Why are we not going to not do a series on COVID-19? And to be honest, with the way things are looking, unfortunately, we're probably going to here and there carry on this theme as well. So, but
we've done 6 episodes in 3 weeks, which is nearly double our usual delivery time. Yeah, and it's the first time we had non-Muslim guests. Yeah, isn't it? We had Dr. Jason Kindrachuk. Yeah, we had Kate Shamarani. We had CJ Wellman. So I think it was an interesting period for us because there was a high output. But I don't want to talk about COVID-19 this episode, bro. No, it's a happy occasion, man. It's a happy occasion. It's the day of Eid. And the Prophet ﷺ said for us to be happy on this day.
That's right.
It's a joyous day. Yeah. So let's look at the fact that it's been 1 year, bro. Yeah. I don't know about for you, but it seems it's shot past.
Well, yeah, absolutely, man. Like, I didn't believe it. When you said, this Eid is going to fall exactly on a year from the release of our first episode, I was like, that's insane. It doesn't make sense.
And do you remember?
That's wild.
And do you remember the day we filmed?
That's crazy.
And do you remember the day we filmed Sheikh Muhammad Osman, Ali Dawa, and Hijab one day? Yeah, and that was Ramadan as well.
Yeah, same day. We changed our clothes. It was insane.
It was insane. Crazy. Man, we're playing FIFA in the next room while we had one guest here.
Honestly, it was like a reception. It was like a booth where people were just lining up waiting to have podcasts done.
And Jamal was there.
We had another dedicated room just to entertain them while they waited.
Yeah.
So we had FIFA firing in that room. We had someone being interviewed in this room. We were in this room for so long filming that the weather was changing. Yeah. So it's episode 2, 3 and 4, is it?
Yeah, the lighting.
The lighting was just switching up because it was sunny and then clouds. It's just mad.
And tell people the setup we had. What was our setup? We had that one GH4. What were the other 2 camera shots? Was that iPhones?
That was our personal phones, right?
Yeah. So alhamdulillah, I think it was mad.
You know what? I think it's poetic that we've gone back to this setup today.
Yeah, for our people out there, we've got a new person just who's filled in today, and we were telling the cameraman that we've actually got the old setup. Now, for those of you who have watched the previous episode, the last 10-15 episodes, you'll see that we've got different mics, sometimes different studios. But we've actually gone back to our original mics.
The humble beginnings.
The humble beginnings to keep us, grounded in that. We've even
not that we're killing you or anything.
Aki's being phoned from my iPhone. Yeah, so it's...
being filmed.
Yeah, what did I say?
Phoned.
Did I say phoned?
Yeah.
That's mad. That's mad. But look, listen, it's been 1 year. Let's look at some moments, yeah?
Yeah.
Your favourite guests?
Well, me personally?
Yeah, your favourite guest.
Mad. So
be honest.
Yeah, of course I'm going to be honest.
The guest that you looked most, you're looking forward to, you're excited, or even the fact that you...
Firas Sahabi. Firas Sahabi, no one comes close. Firas Sahabi, it would be number one for me.
Would you say that was a bit of a... even the fanboy is a strong word, but...
it's not. It's the right word.
Death is the elephant in the room.
That's right.
In the West, we sugarcoat it. Oh, he passed on. No, he died. He didn't pass on. He died. Say it. Like, people say it, they massage it. Me, I expect to die. Like, my kids, they ask me, are we going to die? Yeah, I say, yeah, we're going to die. Of course we're going to die. But I make my peace with death. But I also don't believe death is the end. That's why I can have peace with death. But some people, they're so scared of death, they don't even want to talk about the topic. It's always brushed aside.
Oh, yeah.
Don't talk. It's in the West, the way we deal with it is, look, it's going to happen a really long time from now.
Yeah.
So forget about it. Listen to this podcast. Watch this movie.
Yeah. Listen to this podcast and then die afterwards, okay? Don't die yet. Listen to it, then die, please. Right. It's okay. It's okay to be a fanboy. Everyone is a fan of something.
Yeah.
Right now, if you were to like bring in, I don't know, Mohamed Salah from Liverpool, we're Liverpool fans. If you bring in Mo Salah or Sadio Mane, I'm gonna act like, oh yeah, brethren's casual podcast, you know, I'm gonna be buzzing. So yeah, look, we're huge MMA fans. I'm a huge GSP fan. When I discovered that GSP's MMA coach, one of his head coaches is Firas Sahabi, a Muslim, I was like, this is crazy.
And a deep Muslim.
Yeah, and it was crazy. Like, this is years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe it. Firas Sahabi is the Muslim and huge in the MMA scene. It's unbelievable. And then I became so connected to TriStar Gym and the MMA athletes that were coming through TriStar Gym. And I was like, wow, this got some huge names, man. And then Rory McDonald became like a protege to GSP because they were both from Canada, both from Montreal, I believe, actually, as well. So yeah, Firas Sahabi for me was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. When you told me, guess who I've linked up with in Abu Dhabi? I was like, yo, are you being serious?
Yeah.
And then it was mad. We filmed that podcast at like midnight. We drove to London. I had work the next day.
Yep.
Yeah, it was crazy. But you know what? I don't care. If I was doing all night, if it was at 3 or 4 in the morning.
And it was a convo.
Go back at like 4 in the morning.
And it was the convos after the podcast as well, where we were coaching for about 2 hours, talking about philosophy, politics, racism, just LGBT issues, raising children in this society. It was mad, innit? For us, it's a deep.
For us, bro, if and when you see this, that was my favorite podcast. It was an absolute honor meeting you. I hope, inshallah, we do it again.
Inshallah. And love you and blessed to you and your family. Ameen.
But yeah, so yeah, me personally, number one, Firas Sahabi. But again, following on the theme of MMA and not people that I took a huge interest in, it would also be up there. Would be Khalid Ismail,
of course,
100%. Our brother Khalid.
Yeah,
that was another huge podcast that I was massively looking forward to, and I enjoyed thoroughly.
And that one could have gone for 3 hours flat.
All of them. I could talk to you now about my views and feelings about those podcasts now for hours. But yeah, so Firas Sahabi, Khalid Ismail, Combat Sports, isn't it?
Hamza.
Shiraz,
Humble
Hamza, Team Humble. I love that podcast as well. That was fun.
But Firas is your standout,
number one.
Yeah. It was for me.
A buzz of Ardads as well. That was a fun podcast, very different. I enjoyed it.
We'll get to odds in a bit. Yeah, we'll get to Ardads in a bit. Yeah, but there was another podcast. Our first female guest.
Yeah.
Modest Street.
Yeah.
Inaya Rana, the Instagram influencer. And
that was fun, I enjoyed that.
It was fun, and there was
because it was new and it was different.
Yeah, it was a different energy there, different story.
Yeah.
But there was an awkward moment, right?
I think that was the first podcast. Yeah, there was more than one awkward moment. but I think that was the first podcast that we did in the different studio setup as well.
I believe it was, yes.
Yeah. So that was cool.
What was that awkward moment?
Well, do you know what? There was bare awkward moments. Think about it, yeah.
But the most baitest one was, have you not seen my hijab tutorial videos?
Which was outrageous to expect us to be watching hijab tutorial videos or makeup tutorial videos. Why? Why am I going to watch it? But do you know what? It's all good. Yeah. But the maddest, most awkward part of that podcast was when you turned around and said, "You've got like 5 sons, haven't you?"
No, I didn't say that.
Yeah, you did. You were like, "Oh yeah, because Inaya, you've got like you got like 5 sons, haven't you? Like you got 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls, something. And you got the ratio completely wrong. I think you gave her more children and more sons.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And she was like, and I was like, and I had to correct you. I was like, no, bro, actually, this is her family setup. And you were like, oh, okay. Because you could have got forgiven for not watching hijab tutorial videos or like makeup tutorials, but yeah, it's all good.
No.
That podcast was funny.
Yeah, and I think
that was the first podcast our guest wrapped up for us as well.
Yeah, it was our first female guest. It was the first time a guest wrapped up the podcast for us, and and we expected a tirade of objection to having her on, right?
Yeah.
And alhamdulillah, it wasn't that bad at all.
Yeah, a lot of those comments we deleted as well.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
I'm joking.
No, come on, bro. That's not true. We don't delete comments.
We don't do them.
Yeah. Them comments are still there. Look, I think if I were to ask you, why do you believe that this podcast is unique to what's already out there in the Muslim market?
The one with Modesty?
No, just period, Blood Brothers.
Oh, our podcast generally, 100%.
Why?
Look, I'm not gassed yet, and I'm not going to just say that because it's our podcast. We critique our work all the time.
All the time.
Off camera. All the time. We find ways to try and improve it. But look, obviously I'm going to have an opinion. My opinion is that I think our podcast is the best Muslim podcast out there for a number of reasons. I can name many, but just a handful, quick ones I can fire away. The hosts, the dynamic between us, the relationship that we have, we're brothers, it's called Blood Brothers. I think that's really cool. I think our relationship is not only loving and brotherly, but there's also a friendship that's apparent as well.
Naam.
And then and also the diversity of our guests. We have a really, really diverse.
I think that's where our strength is.
Yeah, the guests that we bring on are so diverse, from having scholars, imams, students of knowledge,
non-Muslim virologists,
and non-Muslim from other expert fields, having fashionistas and makeup artists, having rappers, having mixed martial artists and boxers. I mean, come on. I mean, we even had academics, of course. We've had those kind of like in and amongst the guests as well. There's something there for everyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think that gives a good snapshot of what the ummah looks like.
Yeah.
The Muslim ummah is not made up of Mufti Menks. Inshallah, Mufti Menk, if you're watching this, we want you to come to the Blood Broad podcast as well. That'd be an honor. Yeah. So it's not made up of just scholars and all the tulab al-ilm and all these people.
But they're definitely factored in.
Of course they're factored in, and they are factored in because...
And we love them episodes as well, like Sheikh Muhammad Usman.
Yeah, of course, yeah. You know...
Like one of our most favourite episodes where we just sat and just were in awe of his story and his journey.
Sheikh Muhammad Usman, you know, recently on the Instagram page, when I posted the thumbnail of our episode with Sheikh Usman, Muhammad Usman, may Allah have mercy on him.
Ameen.
It just reminded me of how next level that podcast was, because you don't realize how much the stories that people have and the journeys they have before they get to where they are. It's incredible. Watch episode 3.
Yeah.
It's episode 3, right?
Episode 4.
Episode 4. Watch them all, but watch episode 4 of Blood Red Podcast with Sheikh Muhammad Usman. It was incredible.
In short,
the lighting's a bit mad.
Yeah.
It's a bit bright. It's a bit dark. It's one of them ones, but
in short, Sheikh Muhammad Usman was on his way en route to fight jihad against the Americans and the Brits with the Taliban. That journey fell through. He came back. He got lifted. When he got lifted, he spent some time in a cell reflecting upon his life. Against all odds, he ended up pursuing a journey of knowledge in Medina University. And that's all I'm going to tell you.
So then I made the decision that the only way this ummah will be rectified was jihad. And
Fighting.
Yeah.
Was fight? Yes, and specifically fighting.
What, invaders and the regimes? Foreign invaders and the regimes?
So for me,
or weren't you that nuanced back then?
No, I was not.
It doesn't seem like I was in a nuanced attitude at that moment. Yahoo, Google. If Bing was about, we'd be on Bing as well.
Yeah, it wasn't about. But so I thought, I'm gonna go to Afghanistan. And at the time, obviously, when you have this like-minded thing, you start meeting like-minded people.
Yep.
One thing led to another. Arrangements were made. Everything was laid out for me, and I made the decision to go to Afghanistan to join the Taliban and fight against the the coalition force.
It was a mad story because even how he got into Medina University was mad as well.
Oh my God.
That in of itself was a mad story. So anyway, I'm not going to tell you too much, but the point is...
Sheikh Asar Rashid.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was mad.
It was...
That was a listening one.
Yeah, of course, because and you know, and the other thing about our podcast is, and it's probably not unique to us, but I feel like it is, and I'm going to say it is anyway because I'm gonna gasp. But so is the way that we adapt to our guests as well. Yeah, and I'm sure hosts adapt to their guests all the time, whether it's on talk.
And I think we do it quite well.
But you know,
Definitely.
Sheikh Asar Rashid, I couldn't do what I normally do with Sheikh Asar Rashid.
Yeah.
He would have battered me.
Yeah.
Okay, he would have put a fatwa on me, and it would have been all over for me. But also, I didn't want to, because Sheikh Asar Rashid is someone that I actually really want to, and the same with Sheikh Muhammad Osman, and others. Just want to sit down and listen.
Yeah.
And you find your moments to contribute.
Yeah.
Sometimes there isn't a lot to contribute.
Because Sheikh Asar Rashid was the third most popular podcast on the Mad Mamluks YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Faraz Zahabi was the second most popular in the Mad Mamluks YouTube channel.
What
So
was the first one?
Yasser Qadi beat them to that. So
All right, okay, but the first of ours was...
So number 2, number 3 most popular in the Mad Mamluks YouTube channel is Sheikh Asrar. Sheikh Asrar was a fantastic listening exercise. Again, loads of stories from when he was young. Remember that story where he was debating Christians?
Yeah, wicked.
He was debating Christians at the age of 12, 13.
Reading these books on refuting different religions from when he was
mad.
Amazing.
So it's been a mad journey.
What about you? We meant to ask you what your favourite was, man.
Okay, so for me...
We should do a separate podcast reviewing our podcast with modesty.
Yeah, it's a mad one, isn't it?
We should actually
dissect it.
Yeah, we should do like can you spot this?
No, because look, just on the issue of Modestry, and Modestry was a fantastic guest, and she even offered to host future podcasts for us. Do you remember?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we asked whether that's something that she'd be up for, and she was like, absolutely.
She was fully up for it.
Yeah.
So don't be surprised if you see Modestry hosting a Blood Sisters podcast in the future. Yeah, and I think she has the energy and the general tempo to actually host a good podcast. Look, having Modestry on was one of them decisions, bruv, we spoke about it a lot, because we know that generally speaking, as much as the Ummah isn't as religiously conservative as we may think or want it to be, or as practicing as we want it to be, the fact is that it's diverse, and especially amongst the 18-year-olds to 35-year-old demographic, they listen and follow different kinds of people.
Bro, you don't have to tell me that. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with having Modestry on.
Yeah, and she won't be the first of female fashionistas and influencers on. There will be others.
There's different things to discuss with different guests.
Absolutely, and I think she had a fantastic story to tell. And even her ghida for what she understood to be the hijab was quite, was interesting and quite inspiring, man.
Yeah, of course.
Have you ever been tempted to go against your principles? It's fine.
Of course. Oh my God, of course. There are times where I was tempted to even take the hijab off. I'll tell you why. Because I felt like I wasn't growing. I think it might have been about 2 years ago. Where I felt like, what's wrong? Why aren't I getting enough followers? Why am I not making it? What's wrong? I bet it's the hijab. If I had the hijab off and I was showing my hair and doing a couple of, tousled curls and stuff, maybe I'd grow a following too. And there were times where I thought, shall I take it off? And I've had to battle that internally. Like you say, yeah, of course, yeah. And I think every growing hijabi influencer has those moments, because I certainly have.
Different guests have different stories to tell. Different guests have different specialities, and that's why. Look, I'm not saying anything. I'm not reinventing the wheel in terms of hosting and podcasts and stuff. But the Ummah is so diverse, and there are so many Muslims that have a platform and have a representation on social media that people watch. That it would be silly not to bring them on and talk about those things.
Right. So for me, like you, but each and every episode was special for various reasons. Each guest brought their own expertise, their own vibe, their own tempo. Just looking back at the vibes we had with Shazad Yunus from Muzmatch, the CEO of Muzmatch. That was just that was a jokes episode. Cuzmatch, you know what I mean? Yeah. Have you patented that yet?
I'm working on it. I really do think that there is a market out there to get a matrimonial, a partner or wedding app
for cousins.
Matches you up with cousins.
Yeah, mad. Anyway, so we had good bands with that. I think
we could do something with that. Anyway, carry on, yeah.
We mean Masuna Remedies, Babs. Our friend Babs.
Alhamdulillah, man, we've had some really.
You know what I mean? Mad diversity. But for me, it has to be the Hamza Zotzis episode.
Yeah.
And the reason why is that I believe for the first time...
Hamza's going to be buzzing when he hears this, you know that?
No. For the first time... No, because he said it himself. He said himself publicly there was the best podcast he's ever done.
That's good.
Because I think for the first time, after a very long time, or if not the first time, Hamza Zotzis was seen on camera...
not as the academic debater.
Yeah, not as academic and
philosopher.
Yeah, and things were presented to him which I'm sure were in the minds of many Muslims. Not I'm sure they are in the minds of many Muslims. Do you understand? And it also brought onto camera our relationship. Right.
You're a yellow journalist,
That's
so
fine.
it's fine.
That's fine. Let's go back to the fact that many within the Ummah think that you have changed, you become soft.
We can't talk about everything.
So you appreciate that.
Just like you don't talk about everything, just like you don't focus about everything.
Bro, we're a Muslim news website that covers Muslim current affairs. You do tend to just play to audiences, right?
No, I don't. That's a slanderous accusation. When's the last time you talked about dawah or talked about the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way that we would like you to do?
So you do have you do have ghira for the Ummah, yeah?
Do you get the point so far?
No, I got the point.
Good, alhamdulillah.
Don't talk to me like a
So it's a new strategy. Oh, but it's okay for you to be rude to me for the past God knows how long. Bro, not at all.
Are you sure about that?
Bro, you know what, yeah? You know what, after this podcast,
Yeah.
I'm going to smash you.
That's fine. We'll do what we need to do.
And so, there was a lot of fire, a lot of shots fired. But well and truly, these are brotherly conversations that me and him have. Yeah? These are brotherly conversations that me and him actually have. And they don't get that heated. But they can. But it's all brotherly. It's all for the sake of Allah. And it's all to... don't imitate the kuffar, yeah? Relax.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so...
I wasn't imitating them.
Yeah, and I didn't really mean that either. Well, I do it in some things, not in all things. But anyway, listen. See, why did you do that when I'm speaking about my favourite episode? I didn't do that in your episode.
I was testing it.
Apologise.
Sorry.
Okay. So that was a good episode. Okay, stop it. So that was a standard.
This how I'm behaving is starting to remind me a little bit of Smile to Jannah.
Yeah, exactly. That's oh my god, Smile to Jannah episode. Oh god, what do we say about that episode?
You carry on. Let's wrap up this Hamza thing because that was your favourite.
Yeah. It was just a special episode because our brotherhood.
And it was a cracking episode.
Our brotherhood, our friendship, our perspectives and how we see things differently in terms of priorities, but ultimately with the same objective, with the same end goal. Was shot on camera and seen.
Yeah.
And I think he enjoyed it. We enjoyed it, and it was a standout episode for me, man. And
Hamza was a brilliant podcast. Miss you, bro.
Yeah, it was a wicked podcast. Smile to bloody Jannah. Good Lord, how could we forget that episode? I don't know.
How should we begin to summarize that podcast?
I'm exhausted. I'm tired. Just think, I'm exhausted
because that podcast. It's lingered a little bit. It's continued.
Because there was some beef on Instagram Live.
That podcast and what that created has kind of spilled over into the many months that followed afterwards.
And in Ramadan, in a recent Instagram Live between me and Smile to Jannah, where we had a bit of a ding dong with each other, a brotherly ding dong. But yeah, he brought a different energy. What he brought onto the podcast was crisis management. That's what it was.
He came to ruin us, bro. He came to ruin us. He came to end the podcast before he even got lifted. Before he even lifted off.
Oh God, Esther, Zishan.
He was breaking things.
Zishan, you were causing havoc, bro. But I think we pulled it off. We tamed the mad S2J.
We love you, bro.
Yeah,
we love you, bro. Inshallah, we'll have you on again soon.
Inshallah.
He commented on Instagram saying, why have you not spoken about how the podcast sounded like it was recorded in a toaster?
Yeah. He doesn't.
And you're right. The audio was awful.
Absolutely. And just in case you didn't know, the introduction to your podcast was actually filmed separately.
Yeah. Look, you people don't know this.
Yeah.
The thing that we had to do crazy.
Because
when we started that podcast and we were like, oh, we got a special guest, Smile to Jannah, Zishan, there was no one there.
Yeah.
That chair was empty.
That's because we messed up a shot.
Yeah. We were creasing. The reason why we were creasing, not because he was there and he was making us laugh, is because we were acting like there's someone in front of us and there wasn't.
Mad, innit?
And it's ridiculous.
And Omar Issa's intro.
Omar Issa as well. Oh my God, it's mad.
The madness that we did.
I introduced him and I was singing to myself. There was no one even there.
Basically, episode 5 and 6.
Who's to blame for that? Who's to blame for those cock-ups?
Myself.
Yeah.
Ajit to some degree is a childhood friend of mine who's on set as well. He did some madness as well. He chopped like half of...
You deleted the entire...
Yeah, I deleted the entire...
Smile to Jannah, one of the camera shots.
No, our shot.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. But basically, episode 5 and 6, Smile to Jannah, Omar Isa was entirely us.
Yeah.
There was no cameraman, there was no help. It was just us. And we're not tech guys, innit, bruv? But anyway, Khair, we moved on. So Hamza was a standout special episode for me. Our dad was. I think he is our most popular guest. Yeah. He's the most popular YouTube episode, the most popular download episode on the podcast platforms. And again, it was a mad how it came about. A car was sold to him. It was a ringer. NAS lined up via me, a private investigator, to help him locate these guys. Then we lined up the podcast there.
Yeah.
It was mad, isn't it? And he just happened to be in Luton that day. We shot the podcast the next day.
Wicked.
And I've seen a number of interviews and things that he's done with some mainstream channels.
Yeah.
And ours is more popular than that.
Yeah. That's wicked. That's really good to know.
And I think it was good having our dads on because, again, whether we like it or not, there is a massive constituency of Muslim youth who listen to rap, grime, drill, and these kind of things. And obviously we were very mindful and very careful, obviously, not to proliferate or endorse or promote that music on our podcast. And he knew that and we knew that.
And it's not just that music, it's music in general.
Yeah. But he came on board and we had some fantastic conversations, right? From postcode wars to gangs, him growing up in Brixton. What about that mad story he told us about the Imam and that brother who confessed?
Yeah, wicked. Crazy. This is what I'm saying. You know, unless you sit down and you speak to people, you might just assume that he's a UK rap artist.
Let's watch that clip.
Gas Gang, Brixton.
Let's watch
that
clip.
Oh, I got a mad story for you, like, bruv. That Imam in Felton was so sick. Yeah, imagine there was a brother in there when I was in jail. Yeah, he was on trial for murder. They had no evidence on him. Yeah. He, at the time when he come to jail, he was an unbeliever. He wasn't a Christian or Muslim. He's a born Christian, but was an unbeliever, yeah? The Imam started giving him extra attention, innit? Going to his cell, talking to him. But obviously, I wouldn't have done this, innit? But that's what I'm saying, it's a mad story. But the guy basically, he converted to Islam, innit? In jail, whilst on trial and that, yeah?
Alhamdulillah.
And he was about to go home, you know. So on the last day of his trial, yeah, the jury, everyone was on his side. He was about to go home. He confessed, bro. And he was like, as a Muslim, I can't live my life without paying for my sins.
That was a mad story.
Yeah.
That's mad. And again, we were expecting a lot of backlash from it. And there was some comments about why are you bringing him on? Why are you validating him? Were you endorsing his life? And it wasn't that. And I think he thoroughly enjoyed it. There was mad love. And we gave him nasiha on camera, off camera. Yeah. And, we're still in contact with him. And you know what? Respect to that. And we will have more guests like that on. We will. I know we've, the likes of Gecko and Loki and these guys, they are in the pipeline. Just very busy people to pinpoint and get them on. So yeah, those 2 episodes stood out for me. Hamza Zortzis and our dads. Obviously.
Let me ask you now, what was one of the most awkward moments for you so far in the podcast that we've shot? Before you say anything, guys, if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe to the 5 Pillars YouTube channel and press the bell notification so that you know when we get out, when the next podcasts are out, yeah?
The most awkward moment for me, bro, had to be some parts of the Modest Street podcast, right? Yeah. Because obviously there has to be a level of adab when you have female guests on. And if they're cracking jokes and having certain banter, you need to just hold it down. Also, I don't watch Modest Street content. So to have her on as a guest and to talk about her content whilst not watching it, it was orcs at some point. Not visually orcs, but internally orcs was also Faraz Zahabi because it was a fanboy moment, isn't it? I was just in awe on the fact that even though I had spent time with him in Abu Dhabi and we spent time with him after the podcast, but the fact that we had him on our platform talking about it, us being, old school veteran UFC fans from the days of Bravo channel, from the Ken Shamrock and Tito Ortiz beef days, to have Faraz Zahabi there was just be like, So sometimes, so I don't know if people notice, you took a lead on that podcast,
Yeah.
You spoke the most. In fact, Faraz was engaging with you the most. And I was just staring at him and it might have even looked a bit weird.
Why didn't you kiss him?
Nah, it's weird. He'd got me on he'd have choked me, you know what I mean?
Nah, I reckon you'd been okay with it.
Nah, anyway. He bricked the arm wrestle against me anyway. Anyway, look, the point is, that was a bit internally awkward, but it's a nice awkward. It's like, rah, got Faraz on the podcast. Mad.
Yeah.
It was mad. But that's it, generally. I think generally most of the podcasts have been fine. I think we flowed well with all the guests. If there's anyone that we haven't mentioned, we apologise. All of you guys were special.
Definitely, yeah. Absolutely.
All of you guys were special, man.
We shot 35 podcasts, and each and every single one of them we remember.
Yeah.
And
like Kate Shamarani.
And different parts of
have
it
you
were so fun.
have you recovered from the Kate Shamarani podcast?
I'm almost there.
Yeah, because obviously Kate was a different kind of guest, and she had a lot to say, and she was ready to say it. Mm-hmm. Did you find it difficult conversing with her? Tell me the truth.
Of course.
Yeah.
Do you find it difficult conversing with her?
I find it difficult sometimes conveying my thoughts across without uninterrupted.
Listen, what Dilly's trying to say is that yes, I have a more friendly relationship with Kate, and therefore I don't want to offend her in case you watch this podcast. But Kate, I think you're thick-skinned enough, and you've been through enough trials and tribulations in your life, and you've come out stronger for you to understand and appreciate and accept that people find it difficult to speak to you, and that's okay.
I don't agree with that.
That's okay, Kate. That is okay, Kate. That is okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Kate
it's
is
just my experience.
Kate is a good, principled, moral Christian woman.
Yes.
And she had some very interesting views. Mm-hmm. I just thought it would be good if you took a lead on that podcast.
Yeah. Don't know why you thought it would be a good idea. But that's fine.
And Jason Kindrachuk, you know, a non-Muslim mainstream from CDC, Canadian Research Chair, virologist, big boy.
Yeah, wicked.
You know what I mean? CJ Wellman, huge journalist and author in the scene, someone, started off as an Islamophobic atheist, obviously now an agnostic. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide him to Islam. And now, one of the most prominent advocates for highlighting anti-Muslim persecution around the world. So we've had a plethora of huge guests, yeah? Like my teacher, Dr. Yaqub Ahmed, Ottoman history, loved it. Yeah. Adnan, Mughal history. You know what I mean? But we've had some goodness, you know what I mean? And I'm looking forward to future guests. And I know sometimes when we reflect upon it, and alhamdulillah, brother, alhamdulillah, that's what I think. I think it's wicked, man. But let's look at areas of improvement. Yeah. Because it was mad how we started. The biggest feedback we got
in the back of this podcast, we're gonna find some areas of
improvement. Yeah, definitely, because we're using all the old mics. Yeah, we told our cameraman Chris.
So many comments. You're finished.
Yeah,
you're finished.
You know who's rinsed that?
Who?
Ali's rinsed that from hijab. So we need to.
Who has? Ali himself.
Yeah, Ali himself is.
He's still recycling.
He's just doing it. So
crook.
Yeah. So one of the biggest feedbacks we got is audio popping.
Yeah.
Right, and it's these specific mics, these Audio Technica, about hitting the sweet spot and the distance. So they might even be popping this episode. Inshallah, there isn't. So
look, guys, if you are aware of any mics that you recommend that would be sweet for podcasts, leave a comment. Tell us.
We have them in it. We had the one with our current guy.
It's nice to get a range of options and to see what your recommendations are.
Someone's gonna say, "Why don't you just get pop filters for the film?" And that's job done. I'm sure we've been lazy enough. We're not.
Yeah, if you want to say it, then say it. Then and put it in the comments.
Okay, but listen. So that's been one. So the popping. Another one was me eating bun whilst talking. I stopped that now, isn't it?
But you know what? It's when people have a reliance as a coping mechanism on certain substances. It's difficult for them to change their ways. He has an addiction to porn, and he's trying to get over that. Ramadan has been good for that.
Listen, you don't understand that some brothers from a certain persuasion are going to think that's haram and start writing me off. Yeah, it is an addiction or a very favourable habit is the way I like to phrase it. And I stopped eating it because the first 6-7 episodes I used to yam it, and everyone just like, a man just munching barn here.
ASMR barn edition.
Yeah. So I've stopped that now. I've stopped that. There was an issue with some people with me not wearing socks.
Yeah.
I'm wearing socks now, so my big toes ain't there. I got ripped on the Ardaz podcast in the comments. It's like an entire sub-thread conversation about my toes.
So like, but why is there a second guest for your toe?
Yeah, it's like whatever in it. No, you just made that up there and gunned me. Did you just do that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not nice. You've had a few comments. You disrespectful to me on camera.
No, that's not true.
Yeah, no, you have.
Sure, prove it.
Yeah?
Prove it.
I saw it. Wallahi, I read it.
We're going to bring it up on the screen.
No. But 86, I've seen it a few times. Mostly that we've been brotherly and but there's a few times, respect your brother, innit?
Yeah, that's this one person. We'll bring up the comment here on the screen.
No, we're not going to bring up the comment here because then we need to find it and it's long. I just know it's there, yeah? So generally it's been around audio, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been around audio. So I think if people understand that these mics that we're currently using is the ones that we generally used for the first 15 or so podcasts that we did in my home. Also, you have to understand this is my front room and it's very echoey. So there's context as to why the audio wasn't great. And we've sorted that out. Now, obviously, we're still in lockdown. Our main cameraman, Mohsin, aka Dawa Digital, mashallah, has become a new dad, Abu Adam. And he's got an entire different setup with cameras and mics.
He's the man.
He is the man. And that's not to say that the brothers we had before on the projects weren't the men either.
They're also men.
They're also men and they also smashed it given the limited resources that they had and also the restrictions that I placed on them.
Big up to all the Blood Brothers team.
All the Blood Brothers team. That goes out to Jamal Richards, my brother Jamal Richards, little Dilwa from Bedford. All of you guys did a fantastic job. Wallahi, may Allah bless you in this life and the next. And may you lot get all the reward, equal amount of reward, not all the reward because we need some as well. But you lot get
equal. Everyone gets equal.
Everyone just gets equal rewards from any goodness that comes from our podcast. You lot did a fantastic job with the restrictions and the limitations that I personally placed on you, man. And I think when Dawa Digital came on board, things just switched up. What do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there's a huge. You can see that the progress and the improvements that were made in terms of production quality from that first batch of 10 podcasts, I think it was?
10, 15
podcasts. To then basically the first half and second half.
Yeah.
Of what we've put out so far.
Yeah.
Brilliant. There is a big difference. I still think we could definitely improve the camera quality, the visual quality, because there is or maybe that has improved actually as well.
Yeah, it has improved, but I think one of the things that we've got is people are concerned about audio. Like even this episode, our 1 year anniversary episode, ul-Fitr episode, competition prize giveaway episode, we've reverted back to not because we wanted to, because of circumstances, yeah? Because Mohsin's not about, yeah? And so therefore we've had to resort to these old mics, and inshallah we're not going to get much popping and not much madness. Right. Chris, is the tempo moving up and down, bruv, yeah? It's audio all on point. So we should hopefully, inshallah, we're good, bruv, yeah?
By the way, someone is actually there, we're not faking it this time. It's actually a camera person.
Yeah, there is, yeah. So what I was going to say was...
name's Chris, a really nice guy.
Really nice guy. Big up to Chris. Yeah. So listen, so on that point, yeah, there's still massive areas of improvement, and there will be improvement. But I think when Mohsin came on board, he did switch things up differently.
Definitely. Because
he's someone who's very passionate about podcasts himself, a podcaster himself. And he just takes that stuff seriously. Like when he talks about mic and audio, and we're just like, bruv, just on a completely different world.
It's his thing, he loves it.
He loves it,
and he prides himself in
it. And it's a great pride and honor for us for him to be on board. And he had
the capacity to be able to make those improvements for us.
On that note,
thank you.
Yeah, enough love for that. On that note, and as we start gearing towards the end of the podcast, why don't we tell?
Already?
It is, or else we're gonna be here forever, bruv.
How long has it been?
How long has it been, Chris? How long have we been, brother? 30 minutes, that's good. So halfway then. Okay. Halfway, cool. So if you think about it, we've done a lot, bruv.
Yeah.
You know, if you compare, and wallahi, I'm saying this, not as a cliche, humbly speaking and that, yeah? No, but with our limited, restricted resources, right? And us not being tech guys, you know, not being audio guys, you know, me not being used to speaking to just a camera. I'm used to being on TV or speaking to an audience in a lecture.
I don't like it, to be honest. Look, I'll tell the people straight.
No, initially we did. Now it's okay.
Okay, now it's different. Obviously, speaking to a person is way better. I'm talking about this part here. So, people, I hope you've been enjoying the podcast.
Yeah, it's just...
Why, episode 35, that's amazing. You've been doing it for a year. Eid Mubarak to you. We love you.
Yeah.
Please subscribe to 5 Pillars. Press the bell so you get notifications of all the podcasts.
That's not us, man.
Don't like that. This is not how we speak.
That's not us. That's not us.
Obviously, you get used to it.
Yeah.
And, and obviously, you get used to it. And sometimes with podcasts, I mean, you get different types of podcasts, right? You get some that are exclusively audio platforms.
Yeah.
And then you get those that are recorded. I think some people are purists that are like, no, if it's recorded and it has visuals, then it's not podcast, it's just an interview.
Nah, Joe Rogan's changed that.
Whatever, yeah.
And others changed that.
Podcast, people like to watch people speak as
well.
Yeah. And it has a function if it's gonna be audio only if you're on the move.
Yeah.
But people like to see the host. People like to get to know the host and seeing them physically and how their non-verbal communication as well is a part of getting to know the podcast that you're invested in, the podcast you're listening to.
So let me ask you.
So yeah. I mean, those things I dislike. I mean, I dislike having to make that change because look, you're a cameraman, innit? In the sense that you're used to being in front of cameras. You're used to being in big studios. You're used to having interviews with, Piers Morgan, them man there, and all of this, and Sky, and TRT, and RT, and everything else.
But there still is a YouTuber element which I'm not comfortable with.
Of course, I understand that it's a different style.
Yeah.
But if anything, it must be way more nerve-wracking to be in a studio with
some hyenas.
With
Nikki
hyenas,
Campbell, Piers Morgan.
People who can smell your blood. Yeah. People that are coming for your jugular in terms of because simply from the simple fact
yes
that
or
you're
no,
a Muslim journalist.
Habib, yes or no?
Huge anchors.
Yes. From the perspective that, of course, if you compare it from an output, effort, preparation point of view, of course, not from the perspective that I'm gonna do that. I'm ready for you. Yeah. Whereas, Assalamualaikum brothers and sisters, how you doing? Subscribe to the 5 Pillars YouTube channel, press like, share, and comment.
It's not us, innit?
It's not us, innit? And I'm still getting used to that. We're still getting used to that. Yeah?
Sure.
The fact that,
I like to make eye contact. I like to look the person in the eye when I'm talking.
The fact that...
Right now, I'm just looking at the reflection of Dilly's Apple logo on the back of his phone. And it's not the same as looking dead into someone's eye.
Look,
chatting to them.
Okay. Stop it. You're going a bit extra now. Allow it.
Trying to improve on that.
Right. So, bringing the podcast to a close, my brother, yeah?
Yeah.
The Mad Mamluks.
Yeah.
Sim. It wouldn't be fair.
Insert sad violin instrumental now.
Yeah. Why? What's going to happen?
No, carry on.
No, it wouldn't be fair if we didn't discuss Sim and the Mad Mamluks on our 1 year anniversary. He was here. Yeah. Man was here. He flew out from Chicago, bought this thing. Chris, what do you call that, bruv? That piece of mixer. Bought a mixer with him. You know what I mean? Yeah.
We didn't even know it's called a mixer. This is how miskin.
Yeah, that's how mad we are. Yeah, that's how mad we are.
Like this is you make music from this.
Yeah, like I call it like
it's like in a cockpit in an airplane or something.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And that's it. That's us. I swear down, that's us. And that's what our video man and cameraman and editors have been dealing with. Yeah. These kind of like guys, yeah. But he came down,
illiterate.
Bro. Tech illiterate.
Yeah. Obviously, that's the context.
Jam in it, yeah.
That's the context.
But he flew out, bro.
Postgraduate side.
Okay, that's a big thing, though.
Yeah.
The man flew out from the States specifically to get us on this.
100%. Yeah, Sim did the most. He really, really gave us the confidence.
Yeah.
And the confidence and the support. And the word I'm trying to look for, tell me.
I know, that's right. Support confidence, support is the two biggest thing that he gave them because...
Yeah. He gave us other things as well, but I don't know.
He gave us the mixer. Yeah. He gave us some Mad Mamluks t-shirts.
That we should really go ahead and do this.
Yeah, and we did. And even that first episode was a mad episode. Because it was an unhinged episode.
Encouragement.
Yeah.
He gave us the encouragement. Sorry, I had to backtrack. I hate it when that happens. You know when you're like thinking of a word and then someone comes in and says, "Do not, Aki, just leave it. You're not obviously going to come up with the word." But I came up with the word. I remembered it. It was encouragement. He gave us the confidence and the encouragement.
And what's the other word you support? Yeah, he gave us all those three things. But that first episode was mad.
Yeah.
It was an unhinged episode.
It was awful.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. Nah. It wasn't awful.
It was really bad.
No, it wasn't, man. Nah.
I think we spent half an hour talking about water or shower.
No, my tracksuit.
No, we spoke about that, but we spoke about glasses. That's it. We spoke about the size of glasses. From American glasses in homes to what you get in England.
No. Look, But then
It was jokes. Don't get me wrong, it was jokes, but
some people liked that first episode.
did they?
Yes. Some of your friends, personal friends, preferred that first episode.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did. Tim did.
Did he?
Yeah. I'm sure you said that he preferred that first.
Good,
Yeah. We're going to cut this out, Tim. No, that first episode was mad. There was no structure. We were just letting shots off. You gunned him about his beanie hat. It was just mad. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And we were speaking loud, loads of pops.
Yeah.
It was mad.
Yeah, it was very.
No, it wasn't a bad episode. It was just
Rough.
it was a rough episode. Yeah. But then it was a drastic change because soon after that episode, Jamal came in for a couple of episodes. You know what I mean? Finessed a number of things. But I think there has to be a lot of love.
Remember the first ever one that we tried to do?
Me and you sat on that sofa there with one Yeti mic.
Yeah, and Sim was like this.
Yeah, it was mad.
Sim was like this in the camera. So he was on the webcam in Chicago looking at us and basically making sure that we're in
we
the
were
shot.
on that sofa that you're sat on
So
there.
me and Dilly sat side by side
With one Yeti
we were
mic.
talking about nationalism, India, Pakistan or something.
No, because Kashmir was happening then, innit?
Exactly right. And Sim was like this in the camera.
Yeah, it was mad. It was pretty
Just
pretty
look at all
insane.
this.
Yeah. like that got released for a little while, then Sim took that down. He's like,
Outrageous.
then Sim took that down after a couple of
was
days.
some nonsense.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. So our journey's been mad.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't a case of, bro, where we knew exactly what we were doing and we started from there. Do you understand? It was a case of literally we're going to trial stuff out. We ain't got a clue, right? And
Yeah, we literally
it's just mad, isn't
started
it?
from zero.
But one Yeti mic, we're sharing one laptop Yeti mic and try doing an episode. That's madness, absolute madness. But alhamdulillah, we've come a long way. I see loads of people talking about the Blood Brothers podcast. It trends a lot, on social media. And I think people understand that they've got a unique product here.
Yeah.
And for various reasons. I want to ask you something. Do you see us moving away from the arm wrestle, the barn and the thumb, or do you think we should introduce something new?
Like what? Like slap?
Nah, that'd be haram.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm joking. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How that's impossible.
Yeah. So I was wondering, barn should stay.
Barn should stay. Arm wrestle should stay. Thumb war seems to be, if we were to do like a survey,
Yeah.
and, in terms of which one is used the most, thumb war is 100% the least.
Yeah.
Because the dilemma that our guests have is, if it's a woman, can't arm wrestle her.
It can only be
because
barn.
You're gonna break her arm.
Yeah. No. Also, you can't arm wrestle and you can't touch her. That's why.
Yeah, but people know that, innit?
No, but you can't say you're gonna break her arm because you can't touch her arm, innit?
Obviously,
crying out loud, bruv.
Ultimately, it's not permissible. Secondly, if it were to be permissible, it wouldn't be fair.
Yeah. Okay.
And if so, the brothers, the dilemma they have is, I can't really. How am I going to choose thumb and not arm wrestle one of these brothers, because that makes me look a bit mad. That makes me, you know what I mean? So they have to choose either the arm wrestle or the barn. If they're shook to have an arm wrestle, they end up doing the barn.
What did Khalid do?
Khalid Ismail.
Yeah.
He had the barn, innit?
He had barn, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's what happens, innit? So like, I'm not going to thumb war you.
Now with Khalid, it was like, I may break your arm.
Of course.
I'll snap your arm.
So if it's not if it's not mercy, then it's barn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So out of mercy, it'll be barn.
Mercy or embarrassment?
Yeah. Or embarrassment,
Yeah.
Mercy or embarrassment is barn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or otherwise, if people think they can have a crack at it,
Yeah.
then they give you an arm wrestle.
Because Khalid would have snapped man's
Yeah, it
arm.
would be different.
Hijab cheated. Mine and Hamza's and Muhammad Osman's was the best.
Yeah, that was intense.
Those were the two best arm
And
wrestles.
Babs.
Oh my! Actually, no. Forget that. Me and Babs arm wrestle. You and Ali Dawa had a good arm wrestle.
Yeah.
So those were some of the best arm wrestles. But
I
obviously,
mean, now, if I'm telling you now, yeah.
I think you could have beaten Ali. That's the truth.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, if me and Ali Dawud have an arm wrestle now, I could have the whole podcast while we arm wrestle.
Also, another thing.
And then I'll just finish you like that.
Obviously, man like
You finish. Bro, I'm going to have to bring you back on for the arm wrestle, you understand? Ali, yeah?
Okay.
So when you finish doing whatever you're doing, yeah, your marriage documentary that you've been doing for a long time, yeah, then you come in and we do another arm wrestle. Bro.
Okay, listen. So obviously we had SubhanAllah, I forgot what I was gonna say, man. So obviously Faraz Zahabi, man's a professional trainer, he's not gonna risk an injury.
Of course not.
Hamza
Neither is Hamza.
Hamza Shiraz, I ain't gonna do it. Khalid also, but at the same time, I'm also not gonna break your arms as well, yeah? So it's but do you see us moving away? So you're saying that if we do change, it'll be the thumb war.
Yeah. Only because I think it's funny, but no one chooses it.
No, we've had some good thumbnails. You and Sim, me and Dr. Yaqub. There's been some good thumbnails, man. That's some good thumbnails. But it does seem like the one which, if there is to be dropped, it'll be the thumbnail that gets dropped.
Yeah.
But then when that Libyan brother, our Libyan brother, he gave me that professional thumbnail thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mahmoud, Baba Mahmoud.
Maybe we could bring a fourth.
Nah, it becomes too many.
Look, guys, if you could think of another option, a third option as an ultimatum to offer our guests at the end of the podcast, put it in the comments. And you know what? We will give serious consideration to the one that is the best. So we're going to definitely stick to arm wrestle. We're going to definitely stick to Pan.
Yeah. We'll consider dropping the thumbnail.
We'll consider dropping the thumbnail if you can give us a good idea for a third.
Yeah,
I'm definitely up for that.
Back to Sim and the Mad Mamluks, bro, yeah? There's still a lot of people out there that don't understand the partnership, right? So I think that's not true. You fully understand the partnership. You may not be fully supportive of the partnership.
No, that's not true.
Huh?
Listen.
Simi, listen to this.
On the day of Eid, yeah, don't say these things. You understand?
Okay, listen. Hold on. Calm down.
Calm down. For the brother from Mad Mamluks, and all the rest.
This is not about love. The love is mutual. The respect is mutual. Yeah. The issue here was that
I don't think it's news that I hold the opinion
that we should have started everything from scratch.
We should be independent from scratch, from day dot.
Not even from 5 pillars.
Not even 5 pillars.
Okay.
Brothers should be
brothers and sisters, let me tell you something about Aki here, yeah? He gives a fantastic spiel and vision, but his actual physical contribution input in all of this is minimal to none. Do you understand? This waste man here,
this drink is
this guy doesn't understand. He doesn't understand the work and the labor that's involved, the graft that's involved in building a channel from scratch. You don't, do you? And it's fine. You're right. You know, to have Blood Brothers podcast as an independent thing, away from 5 pillars, away from the Mad Mamluks, and just our own thing. But you don't understand the graft that's involved, bro, about creating a brand.
No, I understand that. I'm just telling you that this would be the preference. That would be your preference.
It would be my preference.
It's everyone's preference. It makes the most sense.
Yes.
That Blood Brothers is a podcast. It has its own platform. It has its own YouTube channel. It has its own Instagram account. It has opposed to. It's not as if like to begin with. Before we had an Instagram account, it was a highlight within the 5 pillars Instagram account. But it has its own Instagram account now, and I think moving forward, at some point, the natural progression should be
it's on
Blood
YouTube.
Brothers has its own platforms, which is logical. But I 100% understand that it's really hard to do that.
So obviously,
especially from day one. So alhamdulillah, you know, we've partnered and we've had collaborated and we've had teamwork that has allowed us to spread out quicker.
Yeah,
that makes sense. I get that.
So basically, you don't like us being partnered to the Mad Mamluks. That's basically no, that's true. You don't. Yeah, you don't like us being partnered. Aki has a discomfort about being partnered, but the truth is he's lazy and he doesn't do nothing. That's the truth. He turns up. He rocks up with a headache, and that's what he does.
I've got such a bad headache.
That's what he does.
I swear to God.
He rocks up.
Listen, I've had enough of this.
He rocks up to a podcast. Has his few little bits and bobs and contributions. Says that we should leave the Mad Mamluks, and that's it. That's Aki's contribution.
Look, who made this logo, though?
Huh? Who made it after what 3-4 weeks of some person in Pakistan failing to make that logo? That's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah. The only good thing you've done, bruv. Yeah. The only good thing you've done is the Blood Brothers Instagram and
this logo.
And
this logo that's going to become one of the biggest household brands in this country, in the coming years. I was
going to say, and the only other good thing you've done is being a good co-host. Yeah. That's nice, isn't it? That's supposed to be a moment. But anyway, so do you see us moving away from the Mad Mamluks?
You're boss man, innit? I can't really answer that question if there's no truth to it. So
okay, what's your sentiments?
Tell me, boss man.
What's your sentiments?
My sentiments is that I would love for Blood Brothers to be able to continue progressing and be identified. And I think it is. I don't think people make connections with 5 pillars and Mad Mamluks, to be honest.
More so, no, they do it with 5 pillars, less so with the Mad Mamluks.
Yeah.
But the Mad Mamluks listeners know that Blood Brothers is a part of, falls under that collaboration.
Because they have to go into the Mad Mamluks
to listen to the Blood Brothers.
Platforms to listen to it. But yes, ideally, I think not only myself, but I think it's logical that a brand and a podcast should stand alone.
Okay.
Should have its own YouTube channel, should have its own Instagram account, should have its own Twitter, should have its own everything else, Snap, whatever.
So what's your views on the likes of...
And that will free you up as well. You could step away from 5 pillars. You could be a little bit different, you know. You could be Dilly from the streets again, you know. Ooh, you know, you don't have to be that, you know, anchor journalist, man. You could go back to, you could be like Blood Brothers podcast.
Bring the podcast to a close, but what's the plans for the future, man? And don't keep bringing it back to me. Guess what kind of people you want to see? People who...
I mean, I've got loads of guests that I'd like to bring on, man. Some that are obviously huge, some that are... that I personally find
mention them. And then when we don't get them on, people can gun us. Go on.
I don't know. I'd love to bring on a Akala. I think
that's not impossible. He's just a very busy man. I've already spoken to his agent.
Yeah, I'd love to bring on
not
Akala.
impossible.
That'd be really interesting. I want to bring on M Huncho.
Who's M Huncho?
Okay, he's another very popular UK rap artist.
Okay.
And a Muslim brother.
Okay.
He's that brother that wears a mask and he spits.
Okay.
When he sings.
Okay.
He's sick. M Huncho's sick. I don't listen to M Huncho. I don't listen to any music.
Go on.
And there was and many other guests. You know, I'd like to bring on some more like boxers and MMA fighters. You know, and that's what that's me personally. That's what I'd like to. That's the kind of guest that I'd like to interview. Yeah,
I mean, I think this year, I think what people need to understand is that there's certain guests which take time to bring them on because they're very busy individuals.
If I can interrupt you, bro, yeah?
You've done a lot of that this episode, carry on.
If I can interrupt you, bro. Another thing, I'd like to bring in people from our lives personally. That's a huge thing I think that we should do for year 2, is I think so many people have stories, man.
Bro.
And just because you see people on television... and they start to develop a stardom and a celebrity persona, it's just because they've worked hard for it and they've got the attention, they've got good things to say, but also because sometimes it's worked out for them. There's people in our area, there's people that we know in our personal lives.
Well, we did
incredible stories. Yes, Babs, amazing story.
And there'll be others like that.
And that's what I'm trying to say. There'll be some more examples of.
There will be. So expect Bedfordians and Lutonians from Man from Queen's Park, Partno, London Road. They'll be different.
Our older brother.
Yeah, you're giving too much away now because these were supposed to be.
These are ideas that I'd like to have because it might not happen, you know.
No, but we already said that we will have Bai on. We will have Dad on. We've spoken about this, and you were a bit awkward about having Dad on. Dad will buy you. But Dad has some mad stories. Like you know, he came here in 1966, one of the very first Asian Muslims to come here at a very young age, you know, mad about sports, you know, faced racism, and not just from whites. He faced racism from some black people who eventually later became his very good friends.
He just faced racism, period, from everyone but Asians.
Yeah, and he battered, man. He splattered, man, when he was growing up. But
he had to defend himself, no?
Exactly, and he wasn't...
We don't advocate violence.
Exactly. Within particular frameworks and circumstances,
but
we absolutely
we don't advocate violence.
But the point is, Dad had some mad stories. You know, one of the first county level rugby players, Asian, during the 80s, unheard of. Yeah. So Dad has some super mad stories. You know, raising 3 sons and 3 daughters. And obviously, me and Bai didn't exactly give Dad an easy time growing up, me especially. So I think having Dad on would be fantastic. That's mad. Yeah. Who knows, for our 50th episode, our 100th episode, if we survive until then, if Allah gives us tawfiq, we'll definitely have more intimate and personal and local guests on, definitely. I definitely want to bring on some of my old friends from John Bunyan Upper School, because that was an interesting time in my life. I got permanently expelled from a predominantly Asian Muslim school, and I went to the most underachieving school at the time, which was John Bunyan Upper School, which is now, I think it's Bedford Academy. Is it Bedford Academy now? School.
It's an academy.
Yeah. And, you know, that's where I befriended most of my mixed race and black friends, right? Some of whom I had beef with. You know, when we were young, you know, we had area beefs, Queen's Park, Partno, London Road, you know, Christmas lights, funfair beefs and all of that. But some of these guys went on to become some of my most dearest friends. Yeah. So we will definitely have more personal, intimate guests on. We will have more non-Muslim guests on. I think that was something which we discussed, and we weren't going to bring it in so early on. But I think the COVID-19 meant that we could now actually bring on people from different professional backgrounds to talk about the pandemic. So now that we've broken that, you know, we're going to have more non-Muslim guests on.
Inshallah, yeah.
Inshallah. So I'm really excited for the year ahead, bro.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, may Allah accept our efforts. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept the efforts of all the brothers and the team and the sisters and everyone. See that, I'm mad. I said sisters, Iman. There's no sisters part of our team. I just said it because of some, gender quota. This is what's happened now, bro. This is what's happened to me.
There's no sisters in our team. It's not a very big team.
Yeah, it's not a big team, yeah. But so anyway, we digress. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless everyone involved in the Blood Brothers podcast. The external organizations that have provided us support by letting us use their studios, by letting us use some of their, technicians and some of their staff to help us improve our podcast. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless all our guests.
Absolutely.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our non-Muslim guests and guide them to Islam. Ameen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all. You know what I mean? For tuning in, for listening, for watching.
For supporting us.
And for supporting us. You know what I mean? It's I appreciate there's loads of Muslim podcasts out there. But I am genuinely confident that we have created a steadily growing, loyal viewership and audience. And we hope that increases.
Yeah.
But any concluding words, my brother?
No, I want to give you arm wrestle.
You being serious?
Yeah, I'm being serious.
I'm going to beat you.
Likely, but I want to give you arm wrestle still.
Come then. I always protect you from
brothers, sisters, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment.
I always protect you from arm wrestles. And here
I don't need you to protect me from arm wrestles, bruv. What do you think this is?
Who protected you when you were growing up?
No, but I don't need you to protect me from arm wrestles, innit?
This guy, bro.
What are you protecting me from exactly?
From your arms, from you being hurt.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna give an arm wrestle to Sheikh Muhammad Usman Amma or to Khalid Ismail. Why am I going to arm wrestle? Because I'm going to die.
You're allowed to hold the table, remember, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me when you're ready. Because remember, the longer arm...
Let's get the angles ready, innit? Is the angle good?
Is the angle good, yeah?
Alright.
Go on.
Already I can see that there's a madness happening, yeah?
What's happening?
Okay.
3, 2...
Wait, now, Chris, give us a 3, 2, 1, bruv.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, you're strong, innit?
Yeah. Yeah. Any concluding comments, bro?
Yeah, concluding comments is obviously you lot stay safe. We know it's been a difficult time with lockdown. Many of us have not been able to see our relatives, to see our family members, to...
Mad. Which other podcast does mad stuff like this? Just moving with us.
I just remembered we made some serious adjustments there for that.
Okay, that's fine, isn't it? That camera's picking you up.
Look, my final comments are that, look, we have been in lockdown now for months.
2 months.
Yeah.
March the 23rd.
Yeah. So, it's difficult because we're very much restricted from doing things that we normally would do. I pray Allah Azza wa Jal changes the situation that we're able to attend our masajid again.
Ameen.
And we can physically go and visit our families and our loved ones.
Ameen.
And and basically do the things that we used to do that we miss. And my message is to stay safe, people. Think about yourself, think about the safety of yourself and your community and your family. And just continue supporting our podcast. It's been 1 year. There's nothing to say that we're not going to be here next year or in 5 years, or you get the message, right?
Just to add to some of the things which Aki said, there's a reason why we didn't focus too much at all on COVID-19, this podcast. It's Eid al-Fitr, it's the day of Eid. It's a happy and joyous day for us. And yes, the last 2 months have been incredibly mad, insane, like nothing else in modern history, and it's crazy. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that all the Muslimin that have passed away, that they are given the status of the martyrs. Ameen. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that all the families have been affected by the COVID-19, whether it be due to the loss of work, the loss of earnings, or the loss of family members. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you all patience and grant you all the best in this life and the next. Ameen. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that collectively, as mankind, that we can overcome this pandemic as better human beings and realizing, the ridiculous limitations of human beings and how needy we are. and how insignificant we are.
How reliant we are on things.
Exactly, and how dependent we are. And that this, in fact, this should be time for us to actually reflect on us as creatures, right? Us as human beings, and our purpose for life, and what is it exactly, right? So these are things which we'd like everyone to ponder on, inshallah. And listen, subscribe to the 5 Pillars YouTube channel, follow the Instagram, and until next time, take care, stay blessed, keep us in your du'as, have a fantastic Eid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Blood Brothers Podcast, 5 Pillars of Mad Mamluks production.